The main purpose of this series of videos is to debunk some of the utter bullshit I routinely see circulating, and also to discuss some issues that I'm regularly asked about. Essentially, I wanted to create some resources for people to be able to link in discussions, to spare them the soul-crushing fucking misery of repetitively re-explaining the wheel every time they're discussing video games with blue-pilled lobotomised fanboys. Or fangirls. I'm not sexist. But also when speaking to the naive and innocent player, bamboozled by corporate PR bullshit. Precisely how I used to be, not that many years ago. Let's face it, not every gamer is as obsessed with the gaming industry and how things operate as the likes of you and me. Misinformation is sadly part of the video game world. It's an industry that regulators neither seem to understand nor feel motivated to investigate. For example, two predatory sociopathic scumlords got caught operating a full-scale fucking gambling fraud and get off with a fine and no jail time. I guess the judge decided they seemed like such nice white middle-class boys who don't normally get into trouble. You know, like how lots of rapists avoid jail time too. One outcome of the current state of affairs is that I routinely see statements with little or no factual justification being repeated and promoted by interested parties until eventually people start to treat these folk stories as if they were fucking gospel. You know the kind of propaganda I'm talking about. Multi-billion-dollar corporations claiming they need microtransactions to make games profitable. Video gamers are toxic, entitled, sexist bigots. The gaming media is completely independent and has values and integrity. Lol. But today I want to talk about the claim that games as a service is beneficial to gamers. Games as a service, or live service games, is a term gamers are being bombarded with at the moment. It's being sold to us by video game publishers as a positive thing that will benefit gamers, improve the quality of video games, increase value for money, end disease, predict earthquakes, and help humanity create faster than light space travel. Games as a service, or live service, is a giant, fat cluster of fucking lies. Live service is a giant Ratking of lies. Games as a service is a con trick, a huge lie held together by so many little lies that the consumer is starting to think it must be real. I mean, it must be true if all these reputable game publishers are saying it, right? Well, I'm sorry for shitting on your birthday cake, but they are not reputable companies. And yes, they lie all the fucking time. There will not be microtransactions in the Division. Games as a service, or live service games, whatever term tugs you off fastest, can trace their roots all the way back to relatively benign and inoffensive subscription models like World of Warcraft. But in the old-fashioned sense, live service originally meant simple, wholesome stuff like you had a game, people paid a regular payment and the publisher kept maintaining and supporting the game with updates and keeping the servers running, for better or worse. In case anyone here remembers vanilla World of Warcraft, where once a week they did a server maintenance that broke fucking everything, could take your server offline for days, and could generally fuck up your guild for 72 hours straight every other fucking week. And it's also the reason why everyone seemed to have about 15 fucking level 7 characters spread across every motherfucking server in the region. Grrr. It is worth noting that there are several driving forces behind adopting the live service model. 1. Publishers have seen year-on-year profit increases, and this gold rush is ending. They urgently need to appease shareholders and new ways to extract even more profit from the gaming community. This is not about making profit, this is about making more profit than last year, year on year. 2. The Netflix equation. Publishers have analysed spending behaviours on things like Netflix, the cinema, subscription sports TV services, and realised people have a disposable income for entertainment. Fuck selling them a great game for $60 where they pay once and have hundreds of hours of value for money entertainment. We should turn video games into a service, charge people constantly, and suck their entire fucking wages out of their bank accounts every month. Even if this means getting them addicted to gambling. Publishers, metaphorically, want us to buy a car, pay rent on it, charge us by the mile, and tip them when we reach our destination. This is their vision of the future of gaming. I am not fucking exaggerating. They did the maths and see the future of gaming as a pay-as-you-go tariffed activity where they try and extract your entire monthly entertainment budget out of your wallet every month. 3. Leveraging the customer. Leveraging is a posh way of saying blackmail. Publishers want to blackmail you so they can force you to keep spending. Imagine a world where you don't own your games. They are all in a library and you pay a monthly fee to access that library. You know, like EA Premium Access. And if you stop paying, you lose access to that game you spent 500 hours playing. Fuck paying 15 quid for a game second hand and keeping it forever. They want you to pay £15 to £30 a month or you get locked out from your games. Or should I say, their games. And that's per publisher or platform, and not including whatever additional fees they invent as time goes on, or factoring in how they might suddenly put the price up once the majority of players are on the system. Think I'm exaggerating? Well, World of Tanks' current North American end-user license agreement very clearly now states that signing the contract means all games and content remain the property of the publisher, and they grant you access to use the stuff you pay for at their discretion. 4. Publishers want to reduce the risks associated with fucking disastrous car crash launches and avoid reduced profits from bad launches. And I'm not saying losses, I'm saying reduced profits. Recent disastrous launches have been a result of consumer backlash to politicised SJW marketing campaigns. Battlefield 5. Consumer backlash to excessive greed and monetisation. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Consumer backlash to appalling low quality and broken product. Fallout 76. Or some combination of the above. Ironically, these are all live service games, which is not a good omen. And it's also not a coincidence either. Basically, gamers don't like shitty games, shitty political agendas pushed into games, or shitty microtransactions injected into games. No surprises so far. Now I know what you might be thinking, surely these problems could be solved by making better games, right? Well, yes. But game publishers have instead decided to keep making shitty games and instead focus on changing how a video game operates financially instead. Because, you know, why use common sense and sound consumer wisdom when you can be a greedy, self-destructive fuck, destroying your own industry in the long term in order to service the needs of shareholders in the short term? So how is games as a service sold to the consumer? If you believe the hype, then games as a service is a fucking bargain, according to them. It lets developers maintain the game in real time, extend the life expectancy of the game, keep adding content. According to the publishers, games as a service lets them parachute through the roof at a moment's notice, like the fucking SAS, to solve any and every problem in an instant, while throwing around free content as they go, like fucking food parcels. Apparently, it costs us nothing, delivers the moon on a fucking string. It's basically fucking video game nirvana. And yes, I know some of you are already thinking, why can't they just do all of this stuff right now? And you're totally correct. But let's come back to that issue in a moment. So how is games as a service sold to the shareholder? Primarily it's sold to the shareholders as a very, very different beast, with a set of qualities nothing like the bullshit we're getting thrown at us in advertising, forums and subreddits. Not that there's much distinction between these three terms these days, it's all corporately operated advertising mediums after all. For shareholders, the benefits of live service games are legion. It's not reliant on having a hit game. Fuck, it's technically not reliant on having a game at all. Revenue streams are spread along the life expectancy of the product. Technically, the lifespan now means the development period, because it never really gets finished. It's less investment reliant, with reduced risk. It provides opportunities to sell microtransactions across all platforms and personal devices. The quality of the game is no longer critically important. The quality of the PR surrounding a game is much more important. The quality of the experience of being a player is very important. It's a way to sidestep the investment development cycle. It's a way to release a game where the quality of the game and how much people like it becomes essentially less important at best, or with games like Fallout 76, entirely irrelevant, because everybody pays up front. So who cares if you're selling an empty DVD case? Well, I'm no physicist, but I thought you couldn't conjure shit out of fucking nothing. So I can't figure out how gamers can get better value for money and better games based on a business model that promises less investment and higher profits. I think I would be forgiven for suspecting that there is either sorcery or bullshit at work here. So let's run this one through the 21 kiloton bullshitometer and see what comes out. I'm going to use Ubisoft's corporate shareholder scribblings as a blueprint, but let's not single them out. This is the vision being pursued by Ubisoft, EA, Bethesda Softworks, to name but a few. I'm sure other people will have different interpretations of what this all means, so feel free to run it through your personal bullshitometer if you want, or corporate bullshitometer, although I'm pretty sure this one has been rinsed by the latter several times. So let's decode this. Hit-driven and cyclical business. Make a good game and sell it. Recurring revenue business. Constantly charge for pay-to-play goods and services. Basically, you don't stop paying once you bought the game. Low user engagement. Basically, you just sell someone a good game. High user engagement. Selling shite to customers at every turn. Console focus. Selling a game via a specific user's platform. Multi-platform business. Selling services across all mobile and gaming devices 24/7. Developer-centric. Profit based on game quality. Developers are the focus of good content. Player-centric. Profit based on constantly harassing the player. Public relations and monetizers are the focus of profit. Game experience. You own what you buy. Platform experience. You access their game via their platform where they can try and sell you shit. Number of units. Profit is based on the amount of sales. Lifetime value. Microtransactions. Fees. Rental. Additional charges. Subscriptions. Now I will issue the caveat that I wasn't in the shareholder meeting, and some of these categories could be argued to mean slightly different things and overlap somewhat. But nevertheless, the sum totality of my interpretation is a pretty damn precise description of what the fuck they are planning and how they encode it into wank business terms. I'm personally fucking stunned that someone can sketch out the grand future of video games without saying anything about improving video games or making a decent fucking game at any point. This is mostly smoke and fucking mirrors. Developers and publishers can patch and improve and add content for a game whenever they want to. That is purely a matter of willpower and deciding to spend a little bit of money. There is no United Nations Charter or intergalactic treaty dictating they cannot do all this good stuff without it being a live service game. This is constantly implied, but it's a deception. And if you ever see a YouTuber or a gaming journalist saying something along the lines of, well, this game is going to get better support and faster patching because it's a live service game, well, congratulations, because you've just spotted a fucking shill. That person is at best a fucking idiot, but most likely working for a game publisher. Anyone waxing fucking lyrical about how great games as a service is will almost certainly be getting paid by somebody to promote the concept. Games as a service is about getting the customer to invest upfront for a product that isn't finished yet. Then they work on the game, add content, fix bugs, basically work towards finishing the fucking game based on ongoing sales and revenue from microtransactions, services, fees, pedo caches, and such bullshit. As long as it's deep in profit, they fold a small proportion of that money back into the maintenance of the game. This allows them to abandon the project if revenue drops below the point of sufficient profitability. That is why live service games all have roadmaps. If your video game has a roadmap, it means it hasn't reached its final destination, and that destination is being fucking finished. Roadmaps are a brilliant and beautiful in-your-face con. They are a means to sell the fact that a game is unfinished and sell it as a positive thing. They are literally taking a failure and selling it to you as added value. Look, it's a business model where having a great game isn't the biggest priority on the list. Fuck, having a completed, finished game isn't even on the fucking list. That's a pretty big warning sign, right? That's pretty much the biggest red flag you can get, indicating this plan is all fucked up and on the piss. If you bought a car and when you went to collect it, they sat you down in the showroom, gave you a coffee, showed you some blueprints and models, and started explaining their roadmap to making your car, you would ask for your money back right there. Somehow, game publishers are convincing gamers to sit there, grinning like dumb fucks, staring at roadmaps, whilst they hand over between $50 and $100 for vaporware and a demo. It's a business model for video games, where the game isn't even a fucking priority. It's about selling people the promise of a completed brilliant game. It is not about delivering it. It's about sucking away people's cash for the entire time they are stupid enough to hang around, waiting for the game to arrive. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This business model looks vaguely familiar, and you would be right on the money. The customer invests in the game based on a promise of product made in the future. The customer risks their money on the outcome and success of a designer's vision. There is no guarantees, it's pure gamble, and the customer eats any losses. The customer essentially has enough faith in the end product that they stump up cash in advance and personally invest in the success of the project because they like the potential end product enough to back it on a calculation of financial risk, trust in the developer, or some kind of delusional, misplaced religious and spiritual faith. And if it all works out for the best, they get a decent game. If not, they lose all their cash. I have seen this business model before. Games as a service is actually crowdfunding. A really, really incredibly shit version of it, but it is crowdfunding nevertheless. What a beautiful con. Games as a Service is a corporate rebranding of the crowdfunding business model, where they just added always online functionality so they can throttle your progress and chase you across multiple platforms and devices, constantly reminding you that they exist and try and sell you limited time only microtransactions. On top of this, instead of rewarding us for gambling our money backing their product, they keep the rewards. They are literally having their cake and eating it. It's like betting on a horse, where if you lose your money. And when you win, you just get your money back. And the winnings go to the bookies. It's a flat out fucking accountancy scam at the expense of the consumer. They just gave it a fancy name and rebranded it. The best possible outcome is that you risk your money up front, absorb the publisher's financial risk for the chance of getting what you paid for. It's a shit deal. And so far, no game as a service has managed to deliver anything other than a fucking train wreck, a million automated email replies telling gamers they can't get a refund, and a giant fucking rusty bucket of salty customer tears with the word sucker painted on the side. Games as a service is like someone mugging you and taking your money, then persuading you that it was really a self-defense lesson and sending you an invoice. You are paying for the privilege of being a fucking victim. The core mechanics of games as a service is very simple. It's rebranded crowdfunding, an incredibly shit version of crowdfunding with no benefits and all the risks absorbed by the customer. It is a completely one-sided business arrangement that totally benefits the vendor and fucks over the consumer, and anyone who tells you otherwise is either badly informed or selling something. Games as a service, or live service games, is Kickstarter repackaged without the rewards. It's Kickstarter, where you expose yourself to pay-to-play mechanics and pedo caches. Financially, the customer is being asked to invest first and absorb the risk, has a low chance of receiving the product they are promised, and all the profits goes to the shareholders. Games as a service is the exact philosophical opposite to let's try and make the best game possible and leverage our success on the game. But let's have a quick fact check. There is zero evidence that live service results in better games. There is zero evidence that live service provides an improved gaming experience. There is zero evidence that live service provides better value for money. Skyrim was a traditional game. It is good and made profit. Warframe is a free-to-play game. It is good and made profit. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a partially crowdfunded game. It is good and made profit. How are live service games doing at the moment? Fucking abysmally. My experiences with Battlefield 5, Fallout 76 and Star Wars Battlefront 2 have thus far cost me the same as a AAA premium game, not resulted in a full game being finished, been profitable for the publishers, and complete failures as games. Frankly, with all three of these games, I consider that money burned. I might as well have just taken the money out into the street and set fire to it. The good games I listed would not have been improved by being live service. The bad games could have been improved by not being live service. How much cold hard fucking evidence do people need to see? The most sinister takeaways from all of this is that the live service model relies on selling people the dream of a game that may or may not be delivered, but usually not delivered. This means that the first thing that will be assaulted is your rights to a refund, because you will never get the product at launch. They will also try and suppress people's journalistic freedom to cover a game. When a product is based entirely on propaganda, you can bet your ass they will not like people complaining about their unfinished bullshit vaporware products. Technology might have changed, but human nature is pretty much stable. If you're in the business of selling people empty boxes, It's in your fucking interest that they don't have a refund policy, and you stop people warning potential customers. Otherwise the scam falls flat on its arse. Anyone selling you games as a service as if it were a positive thing for you as a customer and as a gamer is a bold-faced fucking liar. Any content creator selling you games as a service or live service games as a positive thing is either very naive or marketing for a publisher and failing to declare it. Anyone using live service buzzwords should be treated with absolute suspicion. And if you see or hear someone promoting games as a service or live service games, ask them the following question directly. Are you working for or affiliated with any video game company or PR company? And if anyone thinks I'm being too judgmental by describing games as a service as a shitty version of Kickstarter, well, to be honest, personally, I think it's one cunt hair away from being a Spanish prisoner scam or a Nigerian email scam. Give us all your fucking money up front, and we promise you will get back a reward worth many times its value. Just trust us. This is a basic, old school, 19th century confidence trick, and it's about time we started sending the message to game developers that we are not falling for this shit anymore. But for now, good luck and happy hunting.